This one's gonna split people. Playing death games to put food on the table is a title that evokes two distinct ideas. Either a character's need to take part to ensure their survival afterwards, or someone who is so batshit insane they simply find it amusing to see how far they can go. This anime is both and neither at the same time. A series of death games that puts atmosphere ahead of action and tries to fill you with more fluff than its characters. Let's take a look at what's going on. The world painted by this anime is confined, a perspective zoomed into the main character's experience most of the time. For better or worse, nothing is rushed. The amount of still shots, low detail character art, and frequent aspect ratio changes contribute to a constant sense of unease. You know, the kind that comes with watching the people trapped inside of a shadowy opportunity to make some cash at the expense of anything. The atmosphere and style of how events unfold is the part that stands out most. Arms, eyes, and of course lives are all items of choice to display the cruel and unfair nature of what might happen during any game. And when the mechanism for altering a character's life decides to show itself, the result often reveals exactly what these girls are made of. Fluff. It does take some of the punch out of things, but I don't hate it. That's just the physical outcome though. Can't have objectionable content like blood souring the experience of the shadowy cabal of viewers at home sponsoring these games in the first place. But anytime you mix a bunch of sad girls together, everyone's going to come out of things a little emotionally damaged. Yuki is a veteran player, however, and if the title of the anime wasn't obvious enough, plays in a way that provides her some level of resistance to the horrors that lie in wait for her. She's not quite the Mau Mau of death games, but hearing her think and talk is probably what will keep you watching this. The way her mind works is simple. Surviving is winning. Play to survive. Once that's over, then take some time to think about how you feel. She is exactly the protagonist you want for this kind of gig, given her goal of beating 99 games. That's not quite what we see, with the pacing moving forward at a careful crawl, like a totally consenting anime character who doesn't want to explode, but she's definitely the right girl for the task. At this point, you might have started wondering, is there any action? Kind of. There's going to be one thing powering whether you're sucked into the introspective nature of what is presented, or would rather enter around with these girls just to get things over with quicker. This is the split I mentioned at the beginning, not just what style of show you probably expected this to be. Do you enjoy animation in your anime? 100% serious question. The still frames in Monogatari are rivaled by the way nothing happens in this anime in order to move the plot along. An extreme lack of anything actually occurring might seem like a large obstacle to overcome for an anime like this to be interesting, and it is. Yuki's clever thinking and confident decision-making are what is gluing most of this whole endeavor together. Caring about the girls doesn't work. They're disposable. Some kind of plot exists as a miswoven thread between episodes, but more as a way to remember that this isn't just some audiovisual experimental piece. In fact, the best parts of this anime are often not part of the games at all. The scenarios for the games are limited in their ability to create a more compelling reason for this anime to exist, as more than an exercise in drawing girls trapped in a parallel fluffy murder dimension. A structure exists. Goals are sometimes given to the players. As a viewer, you are typically just as in the dark as to what the right approach to any situation might be as they are. But it's often left up to the characters to determine what the true nature of any given game is and what they'll need to do to make their escape. And that works about as you might expect when it's the first time playing for probably 80% of them. If combat taking place inside your death game anime is a feature you prefer to see often, action does exist. Yes, there are fight scenes. Shiboyugi is a bit of a paradox of an anime adaptation. The most underappreciated aspect of trash is that it has an inherent ability to grab your attention, and death games have always been a peak source of trashy content. So for this anime to replace its most reliable source of keeping your attention and advancing the plot, you know, action of some kind, often, but not always, combat, with the vision of a high-concept portrayal behind the motivations and experiences of the main character, That's the risk that Shiboyugi took. I feel is going to influence your opinion more than anything else this anime has to offer. The fluffy girls and faint hope that maybe some reason for these games to exist is given will fade the more you watch. But it's the limitations that are placed upon the entire execution of this anime in order for it to end up in the form it has. This is what I think will cause it to have an appeal as narrow as some of its favorite aspect ratio shots to someone who goes in without any idea of what to expect. So if you're a weirdo like me, who basically finds a way to enjoy almost everything I engage with because I just find that more interesting, I don't think it's wrong to call this anime visually stimulating. And I bet some of you will agree with that for entirely different reasons, but it also kinda sounds weird to say. I guess if you can stomach how literally everything about Shiboyugi is constructed, the before and after of Yuki's experience is what you might consider the payoff. And if you enjoy watching animation so your experience is not quite the same as Yuki's delirious ramblings or ostensibly low polygonal representation, this one might be a tough sell. If you only decide to watch the first episode, that's probably experiencing the bulk of what's to offer here. But if you're looking to feel simulated sadism in the form of viewing the slow and inevitable decline of the mental states of cute anime girls, at least you can pretend like you're watching something deep if someone sees your screen. That's gotta count for something these days, right? If you enjoyed this video, leave a comment with what you thought and maybe subscribe. I just have one other thing to say. What am I supposed to think when I see the numbers?